TikTok is the most recent ad platform to roll out lead generation campaigns. Facebook, I believe, was the first one to have them quite a number of years ago. LinkedIn has had them for a while. Even Google has some variants that can show up in different places around the network. I think this move from TikTok is important for a couple of different reasons. First, it's just a good sign that they're investing more in the ad platform. They're one of the newer ad platforms, and if they're still coming out with new opportunities and ways to target users, even if they are something that other channels have, it's just a good sign that they're trying to grow and make sure that it's a good environment for everybody involved. Second, with the changes to iOS 14, it's getting more and more difficult to track user behavior and attribute performance online. We're not able to use those third-party cookies nearly as much, and in the future, they're going to get even worse. The beauty of lead generation ads is that all of the performance and reporting is contained right within the ad platform. It all happens on TikTok, so all the performance is there. We don't have to rely on any sort of third-party tracking. I'm really excited about lead generation campaigns going out to more channels, so today I want to run you through how to set up your first lead generation campaign on TikTok. Once you're in the TikTok Ads Campaign Manager, we're just going to go to Create a New Campaign. To do that, we need to go to the Campaign Management tab, and then down here we can click Create. Just like most other social advertising platforms, the first thing we're going to do is choose our objective. If I scroll down a little bit, you'll see that lead generation is this one down here in the bottom of the consideration column, and it still has the new next to the name. So I'm going to click lead generation. Once I've done that, I can come down here to the settings section, and I can give this a name if I want to. For now, I'm just going to get rid of all of these terrible numbers. I'll leave everything else as it is and click continue. Now, basically everything at the ad group level is going to be something we've already covered in a previous video. Everything from placements to the targeting that you have available, we've covered in a different video that you can check out in the top of your screen now around all of the different targeting options that are on TikTok. I'm going to skip down past all of that and stop at the budget and schedule section because I need to put in a daily budget here, and just as a placeholder, I'm going to put in 20 because it tells me it needs to be at least 20. And now if we scroll down a little bit to bidding and optimization, the last settings here, we'll find the first portion that is lead generation campaign specific. You can see here that the optimization goal is set for leads, and there is no way to change that. It's going to optimize for leads always with a lead generation campaign. This is just the same as any of the other social platforms out there that leverage lead generation. This isn't too terribly different. The one piece that is different is that there is a cost cap bid strategy. On any of the other platforms, you have a few different options of what bid strategies you want to use for lead generation, but on TikTok, you have to add in your cost cap, and that is going to be what the average cost per lead that you want to pay is. That doesn't guarantee that you are going to only pay that amount for each lead. It just means that TikTok is going to try and optimize for that cost per lead for you. If you hover over the cost cap name, you will get a small graphic off to the right. It says this is best for keeping your average cost per result around or lower than your bid, regardless of your budget. And things to consider here are that you may not spend your budget fully if your cost per conversion is set too low. If you set it too low, you're not giving TikTok enough room to learn and optimize and try to get you as many leads as it can within your budget. So depending on what your main goal is, whether it's volume and scale or whether it's efficiency, make sure that you use a cost per lead goal that makes sense here. For now, I'm just going to set it to $5. Now that we've done that, let's hop into the ad portion and get more into the nitty-gritty of the lead generation setup. You can start off by giving your ad a name, but then you'll see that the only ad format that we are allowed to use currently is a single video. So we don't need to do any other adjustments here. That's going to be the only option we can use. And rather than spending most of my time on the actual ad details itself, I think that's better suited for another video. What I'm going to do is just give a quick overview of what all will go in here, and we're going to spend most of the time on the form itself. So when you're creating a video ad in TikTok, you're going to need to add, you guessed it, a video to that. If you need to look at the recommended requirements, you can open up this form here and it'll show you the different specs that you need to see for each. You then can add in the display name, text, and a call to action for your ad creative. Since we are going to utilize a lead generation campaign, you can see that there are quite a number of different options that we have in here. Learn more is what's recommended, but you can choose download, shop now, sign up, contact us, and a number of other options that you have available in here. So pick the one that makes the most sense based on the offer and call to action that you're utilizing within the lead generation form that you're going to have. For now, I'll just leave it as learn more, and we'll again skip mostly past the ad creation section, and then we'll land in the instant form portion of the ad creation. This is where we're going to spend the bulk of the time in this video because I want to really walk you through the form setup and show you how to utilize it. Since this is a brand new campaign and an account that doesn't have any forms set up yet, there's no option to choose an existing form, so I'm just going to click Create. We then have options between a classic form and an advanced form. And if you hover over the question marks here, you can see the difference between the two. A classic form is suitable for advertisers who want to collect more user information, which, great, I would hope that you would if you're trying to use a form. And an advanced form is suitable for advertisers who both want to promote products/brands and collect more user information with no limit on question quantities. So effectively, an advanced form may or may not necessarily be, quote, advanced, more so than it would be expanded. There's a lot more that'll go in there. So the way I want to go through this is I'm going to go through a classic form and then we'll hop into the advanced form so we can look at just a few of the differences so you can see what the options are and choose which one's right for you. So let's start off with classic form and click Customize. A lot of this is going to look really familiar if you have run lead generation campaigns on Facebook or LinkedIn before. The first thing you can do up in the top here is change the name of the form that you want. I'm going to leave it as it is because I don't really care, but you can change the name up here, and I would suggest that you always do that in such a way that when you go back to your forms library, which we'll look at here in a little bit, you know what it's actually going to be about. And now that I've said that out loud, I just talked myself into making sure that I changed the name of this so we see it show up in the form library later. So I'm going to give it a name really quick. Now I'm practicing what I'm preaching, I will know what this means, and I will know that it's just an example and not to use it later. Before we get into the content of the form, you will see that there is a settings option here, and we'll go through this really quickly because there's only one option in the settings, and that's for you to change the language of the form itself, which means that any of the prompts for the questions or any of the privacy policy text, anything like that, will show up in a different language. So if you need to choose something other than English, choose from the drop-down that you have available here. For now, I'm just going to leave it as English and hop back into the content section. The first option we have available is to choose the form type. And if you have watched the Facebook ads lead generation campaign video that we put together, you'll probably see this as somewhat familiar. More volume allows users to quickly complete and submit the form, whereas higher intent will add a step for users to check the information they've filled in. So effectively, more volume means that when somebody fills out the form and they hit submit, that's it. That's done. They've already submitted the information and it's over. If you choose a higher intent form, that means that they have an additional stage to review the information that they gave. So what I'm actually going to do is show you that right now, the following sections are going to be introduction, question, privacy, and thank you screen. If I change the form type to a higher intent, you'll now see that we have the same introduction, question, and privacy, but now there's review screen before a thank you screen. That's effectively what higher intent means. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the review screen, and it just says the review screen allows users to check the information they filled in before submitting. If you would like to skip this step, select the more volume form type. Pretty easy, right? Basically just an are you sure, making sure that they want to actually submit the information to you. For now, there's no reason to not use a higher intent form, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it as this. But if over time you find that you're not getting as much volume as you want and the lead quality looks pretty good, you might want to shift it back to more volume. But if you're using a more volume form and you're not getting the quality that you want and you find that people didn't really realize they were submitting the form or they're not the right fit, you might want to test higher intent. Now let's move to the next section, which is going to be the introduction, and effectively treat this like a landing page for when somebody comes to your form. This is the information they're going to see before they actually fill out the form. But over here on the right, as I add in some of the information, you'll see it adjust so that you can preview what your form will look like based on the information that you've added. If you've watched many of the other videos that I've done on this channel, you know that when I put together any sort of ad preview, it's always ugly. And this is going to be no different. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the first piece that I can have here, which is a logo, and I'm going to upload that from my computer. It'll at least follow the recommended image size of 1080 pixels. And there we go. But another thing to notice is that because the image I chose is one of the title cards that we use for this channel, it's not actually the exact right square size that it should be. So in this preview over here on the left, it looks okay. But off to the right, it looks squeezed because this is actually a more horizontal video. It's wider than it is tall. So make sure whatever you upload in this space is a perfect square. Otherwise, the preview itself is going to start to stretch your image to make sure that it fits within the space that you've given. The next little bit here are going to be two text fields, and that's display name and headline. And if I'm being totally honest, I think that these are not named appropriately. I think that the display name should be a headline, and the headline field here should effectively be description or short paragraph. Let me type in an example and I'll show you what I mean. So here I've written out an example. The display name is Paid Media Pros, and you can see that that shows up here in bold, and it looks like a display name, but it also looks a lot like a headline. For the headline section, I actually wrote a paragraph where I'm being a little bit of a jerk, but I just wanted to get the point across. You can write quite a bit in this quote headline section. If anything, treat this like a description and put in the text here that you want people to read before they get to the form. If it's helpful for you to utilize the display name as your brand, like I have it, great. But it might make more sense for you to reiterate what call to action you're providing. If you're trying to help somebody download something, maybe you want to put the title of what they're going to download. Or if they're going to submit to a competition, maybe you reiterate the competition name here and you use this headline field to describe what the competition is and making sure that everybody has all the details that they need. Just know that it's going to show up effectively like this, with the display name being bold and the headline being normal text, but could be up to a paragraph long, and make sure that you're utilizing that to introduce people when they get to the form. Now we can start to get to the questions themselves. The first piece we have here is pre-fill information, and this is where you can start to inform users of how their information will be used and analyzed. You might want to write a short description saying that we're going to utilize the information here to enter you into the competition, or we'll use the information here to send you the asset that you're trying to download, something along those lines. But you do get this additional field to help tell users what to expect from you. Let's say, for example, we just wanted somebody to sign up for a subscription to the Paid Media Pros channel, and we'll tell them that we'll use the information they add here to share the videos with them that come out each week. Next, we can start to add in the questions that are based on any of the personal information within the TikTok app. These are going to be the pre-fill options that TikTok automatically applies whatever information somebody has associated with their profile. The first, they already have a couple examples here. They have email and name, but you can add any other category that you want. Contact information is going to include phone number. You'll see email address is grayed out because it's already opted into above. But you can also ask for address, which seems a little fishy, but okay. Country, state or province, and city. Within user info, you can ask for first name and last name separate, or you can have them grouped together in one field, which they already have currently, which is name. And then demographics, the only option you have available is gender. So if any of those are useful, feel free to apply them to this pre-fill section at the beginning of the form. Next, we can start to get into custom questions, and these are going to be questions that are not pre-filled, so your audience is going to have to manually enter the information or choose from a drop-down or something along those lines. These are great if you want to help maybe limit the quantity of form fills that you're getting, but improve the quality because the user has to take a little bit more time and think about the information they're providing. There are three main categories of questions here: short answer, multiple choice, and appointment scheduling. So let's go through each of these pretty quick. For short answer, all you provide is the question or the prompt, and then the user is going to get an open field where they can enter their answer. One thing I find a little bit funny is that it says enter your answer in this field, and this is really where you need to enter your question because the user is going to provide the answer. We're only going to provide the question. So I went ahead and created a quick question. How often do you watch Paid Media Pros videos? And then the user can answer to their heart's content. But if you want to have a question in here that's multiple choice, let's say we use this option, you can do the same sort of thing here, where you enter your question. This one's appropriately named. And just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and just ask the same question. You'll see here that now we have both options over here off to the side. And now I can enter the possible answers for the user to choose from. All you need to do is enter one and then hit enter, or you can click the box next to it over here to provide another answer. So I'm just going to go ahead and add in a few. And now you can see what the form will look like to the user. They can choose either daily when they release, which is twice a week. They can watch once a week or once a month. And then there's also the short answer question down here. If I scroll down, the last type of custom question we can use is going to be for appointment scheduling. Now this one I think is a little bit fishy personally, because you get to add in a prompt here, which let's scroll down on this side just so we can see it as well. It says availability, but we can also customize this message a little bit, and I think that you probably should, and I'll tell you why here in a second. So I'm going to add this as preferred appointment time. You can then add a confirmation message, which here you'll see an example is someone from TikTok will reach out to you at your scheduled time or whatever it is. But effectively, you're just telling somebody when they select this time, what that will mean. And the reason I put preferred appointment time in this headline section is because this says available dates and times, Monday to Sunday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. But then you'll notice there's no option to change it. I can't change this time. And I find that very strange. What I would rather say here is this is my preferred appointment time, and then you can use your confirmation message to say something along the lines of, we'll reach out to you to schedule your actual appointment time, or something like that. Because I quite frankly don't know why, but you can't really change this appointment scheduling option here. So if anything, I probably just wouldn't use it right away. I'm sure that TikTok is still working on adjusting things. Maybe don't use this first and utilize just the short answer and multiple choice questions and save appointment scheduling for a little bit later on. If you have any of the questions in here and you decide that you want to move them and get them to a different order, you can click on these 6 dots over here and grab it and drag it up above the next question. You'll see that the form example changed on the right because now the preferred appointment time is above the short answer question. And if, like I've decided I want to, I'm just gonna ditch the appointment scheduling and the short answer. All you have to do is click on the trash can and it goes away. Same thing for short answer. And now we're down just to the multiple choice question that we had. The next 2 pieces we have are going to be privacy. As you can see here, we've had a little bit of a jump cut. For some reason, when I was recording this video, I clicked on privacy to show you what this option is, and it reset my whole form. You haven't missed anything, but if you're paying attention to the preview off to the right, it has changed drastically because I effectively had to start over. But now that we're in the privacy section, we do need to provide the company name and the link URL to our privacy policy on our website. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in. And you can then add an additional custom disclaimer if you want. You simply need to open that up and add in the text that you want here, and then any of the different consent options that you want. So if you click on that, you can say that this is basically a required field and saying that somebody opts into or accepts the terms and conditions of something. So you'll see here that when I open this up, it then created this little radial dial here. It's effectively like adding a checkbox to some sort of form and saying that somebody has to check it before they hit submit. So if you have any type of legalese or any sort of legal considerations for your company that says that somebody needs to automatically opt into something, this would be a great way to do it. For now, I'm going to leave this off. And we'll skip down to the thank you screen because we already covered the review screen. Just like with some of the other channels that we've utilized for lead generation, this is going to look pretty similar. You can add in your headline, and you'll see that that's bolded over here. And then we have a description, which is going to be the light gray. And this is part of the reason that I think the intro text should be called headline and description, because it looks very similar. You can then customize the button text. Whether you utilized any sort of different call to action, you can change whatever you want this to be. So you can say it can either be view website, which is what I'm going to use for now, or it can be any other option that makes sense, depending on what URL you're sending somebody to when they click that button. So here, for this example, I would send somebody to the website to learn more information about what they just submitted a lead form for, or send them to the page where they can actually download a specific asset. And maybe I would then change the button text to say download asset, something like that. For now, I'm just going to send them to the Paid Media Pros homepage. And now that I've got all the information in this form that I want, I'm going to click complete. Now you'll see here that it's added in the form that I just created. And again, because it reset on me, I forgot to rename it. So now it's got this terrible name that means nothing. Now we would just choose which form we want. If you have multiple forms already built, you'll be able to choose from a list that's available here. Or you could then click create form and you'll create a new one. But as I said, this is the first form that this account has had, so that's why we went through the process that we did. Once we have everything else squared away and we're set up with all of our different ad settings, our tracking and whatnot, we can click submit and we would be able to launch this campaign. But rather than do that right now, I actually want to create the advanced form and show you a few of the differences there. So let's come back up here and click create and hop into the advanced form option. Right off the bat, I'm going to give this a better name, and hopefully the TikTok platform won't kick me out this time. Once I've changed the form name, most of the options are going to be the same. We'll have the same language settings in the settings section, and then for content type, we can choose the form type that we want. But each of these other sections has a little bit more going on to it than the standard form did. So for now, I'm going to leave form type as more volume, and then we'll come into this new section, which is brand image and form style. Here we can upload a new brand image if we want to. We can change the form style from either the light color scheme, which it currently is. You can automatically adjust it to dark, or you can choose smart color scheme, which requires you to upload a brand image. So let me go ahead and do this really quick. Once I uploaded that same image, you can then choose whether you want it to be a 4:3 or a 16:9. This is the one that I already have chosen, but you'll see that the preview over here looks a little bit different. It does say to opt into the safe zone versus not safe zone, just depending on the different devices that you have available. And it will then also tell you to fill in the blank area with the blur that you have available here. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word because that would just be embarrassing. For now, I'm just going to leave it as a 4:3 and click confirm. Now you'll see that we have this big image up at the top. This actually looks a lot better than the logo one that we used before because it's not trying to stretch to fill the space. If we wanted to, we could change this to the dark color scheme, where it changes the form to be the black background and the white text like it would dark mode on your phone. Or you can choose a smart color scheme, which at this point lightened it up just a little bit. It's not quite the true black that it was before, but it does soften things up and tries to blend in a little bit better with the image that we have in there. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and leave this as the smart color scheme, just because it's something different to look at. Next, we can choose the introduction section if we want to keep that. And again, this is optional. You don't have to use this, but I would pretty much always suggest that you do. We can then utilize the same upload of the logo, which again says that it should be a 1:1 ratio. 1080 by 1080 pixels is what's suggested. And that's why when I uploaded the image you see off to the right now as the logo, it stretched it because, as you could tell, that was not a square image. You then have the same options to apply the display name and headline like we did before. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that really quick. But then you'll see that there's an additional field that's promotional slogan. It's optional, but it says enter a 1-sentence slogan here. And if I hover over the question mark next to it, it says a promotional slogan can help you increase the possibility of getting more leads. The text can be about special offers, coupons, discounts, or rewards. So I'm going to go ahead and put in an additional field here. Now we can see in the preview off to the right that we got this additional piece of text, and all they really did was add in another little box around it, so it kind of looks like a button, even though it's not a button. I didn't really necessarily have to put a promotional slogan here. It's kind of just another text field. I did add in something that felt a little bit more promotional, but you can utilize these 3 text fields to your heart's content. So utilize whatever you think makes the most sense and is the most compelling message for your target audience. Next is going to be the questions place, and the custom questions and personal information sections are going to be the same. The piece that's going to be different is that now you have a purpose statement where you can indicate the purpose of the form and why you're collecting users' information. This doesn't necessarily have to be a purpose statement. It can just be another text field. These forms are getting really long with these available text fields if you want to have them added to your form. So I'm just going to go ahead and write another sentence here, I guess, and we'll see what it looks like. Like I said, I didn't utilize this as a purpose statement section, but you easily could to say, we're collecting your information to enter you into a contest or to send you the Paid Media Pros video each week, which, to be totally transparent, we don't do. Like the form says, they're on YouTube, they're free, check them out. You're already here. But this does give just an additional section of text that you can utilize before you get to the custom questions. So these advanced forms, as you can tell, have most of the same pieces in them, but just a lot more text that you can customize if you want to speak more directly to the user. Next, we'll get down to the privacy policy, which is going to be the same. We still have the company name, link URL, custom disclaimer, so we'll skip that for now. The thank you screen is also going to be mostly the same. You still have the headline and description, but now you'll see that the call to action section looks a little bit different. We already have the view website button that's available here, and if we click on this, it'll open up and we can add in the button text and the website URL like we had before. But we can also add a category, and this is great if you have an app. because the only other option is to install an app as well. So if we click on that, you'll now see that the preview off to the right has the view website and download button available, and then you can customize whatever you want to utilize for the install app button. You can change what you want the button text to be, what you want the App Store URL and the Google Play URL to be, so you can add those users directly into the App Store or Google Play Store to get the app that you have available. If your app is the priority as compared to the website, you can drag the 6 dots over here, put the app above the website, and if you do that, you'll now see that the download text, which is what the install app is now the bright red button, and the view website is the gray, not quite as loud, not quite as easily seen, and you can prioritize which call to action you want. So if you are promoting an app, regardless of whether you have the website or anything like that available, or even if you have all of this text that you want to put in the form, I highly suggest that you utilize the advanced form option because it has that install app option as the last thank you page call to action. Then lastly, just with the advanced form, you have another option to add an image down all the way at the bottom. So all you need to do is click additional image, toggle over to the right, and then you can upload an image which is up to 2 megabytes max. If I scroll through this form example, you'll see that it shows up underneath the privacy policy, and it'll basically just be a big field here. So I'm going to go ahead and upload that same image that I've been using just so we can see what it looks like. So now that I've uploaded it, you can see it at the top. If I scroll all the way down, you can see it again at the bottom. So you do have the additional option to add a new image down at the bottom of your form as well. Now that we've gone through that, I'm just going to click complete. And now you'll see that the advanced form example has been added to the list that we can choose from. And we can add that one instead of the original form that we had. Once you've chosen the form that you want and you're ready to go with your campaign, all you have to do is hit submit. As I mentioned while I was putting that campaign together, I skipped all of the different targeting options. I just put in placeholder information, and those forms I created were really ugly. So I didn't actually hit submit. So the campaign you see down below blurred out is not actually the lead generation campaign that I created. Let's say that you did run your campaigns for a while and you have been generating leads. The next thing that we want to know is how can we get the leads information out of TikTok and add it into our CRM. So to find the leads form library in TikTok ads, we need to go up to the assets section and go down to creative. We then have a selection of different forms. You have images, we're currently on videos, there's playable TikTok posts, and then the one that we want is going to be the instant forms. This is going to be your instant form library where you can see the form itself, the status, and the date that it was modified. So both of these are the placeholders that I've created for this video. To get the lead information, you simply need to come down and scroll over the name, and you'll click download lead data. That'll download it automatically to a CSV, but as you can see here, it will only download the leads submitted in the past 90 days, and you have to be the administrator of the account to be able to download these. If you then also want to generate the leads from the other form, you're going to have to do it one at a time and click the download lead data for each of the different forms that you've had active. The last thing you can do, if you've done something like I did here and you have a really terrible lead form name, you don't know what's actually in the form, you can preview the form just by clicking this button, and it'll open up a preview to show you what it looks like when people go through the form. So you can see all the information that I customized. You can go to the next field. You can then review the information because remember, I chose a higher intent piece here. So this is what that's going to look like. It just reviews the information that people have submitted, and then they go through to the thank you page. So you can scroll through, see what the form looks like, and decide if you need to create a new one or if this is the one you want to use. Overall, I'm really excited that more ad platforms are coming out with lead generation options. For a long time, I've thought they were a great way to get users to engage with your company, to learn more from you, maybe download some assets without having to leave the ads platform, which is just a better user experience for them. But in the world of iOS 14 and later, it's even more important because this helps us be able to track performance in the platform without relying on third-party pixel tracking and additional advanced conversion tracking options to try and analyze performance. These let us know exactly within the platform who filled out the form, what campaigns, creatives, targeting options worked so that we as marketers can continue to optimize. It also helps us build a first-party data set because every time they submit a lead generation form, they're giving you some type of user information that you can use again. You're still not relying on those pixels to track somebody in a retargeting audience. You're getting their actual information to use it. So I hope you're as excited about TikTok lead generation ads as I am. If you've run campaigns in them already and you're seeing some performance, or if you just have any additional questions about how to set them up, I'd love for you to engage with us in the comment section below. Thanks for watching our video. If you thought it was useful, give us a thumbs up below.
We release a new video at least once a week, so if you want to get notified of when a new one comes out, be sure to subscribe to the Paid Media Pros channel.